The discriminant. The discriminant is actually part of the quadratic formula, and what it does, it tells us the number and the type of solutions that the quadratic is going to have. So again, it tells us the number and the type of solutions. Standard form is still very important. All the quadratics have to be in standard form before you find the discriminant. And the formula for the discriminant is actually part of the quadratic formula. When we're looking at the discriminant, we only care about the b squared minus 4ac. That part won't be given to you necessarily. The whole quadratic formula will be given to you. You have to remember that the discriminant is just the b squared minus 4ac part. So here we have a breakdown of the number and types of solutions that you can possibly have. So if our discriminant is bigger, if it's greater than 0, so if it's 2, 7, 29, anything bigger than 0, that will give you 2 real solutions. And if you were to graph that, the graph would hit your x-axis twice. If the discriminant equals 0, that gives you 1 real solution, meaning if you were to graph it, it would only hit your x-axis once. If your discriminant is less than 0, so if it's a negative number, that gives you 2 complex solutions, also known as imaginary. And what that happens is when you graph it, the graph doesn't touch at all. So you can always check your discriminant answers by graphing. Now looking at the examples, I have my quadratic, and I'm not solving, I'm just trying to figure out the number and the type of solutions. So I'm trying to figure out my discriminant. Again, all I care about is the b squared minus 4ac. So looking at my first example, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 4, c is equal to 5. So if I plug that into the b squared minus 4ac, I'll get 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. Now all you have to do is plug that into your calculator, and you should get -4. So my discriminant that equals -4. And what that tells me is my type of solution, since it's a negative, I'm going to have imaginary. And the number of solutions I'm going to have is 2. All right, let's look at the second example. So I have a equals 4, b equals 20, c equals -25. Because the quadratic was already in standard form, I'm just labeling it. So now if I plug that in, that gives me 20 squared minus 4 times 4 times -25. So again, if I plug that into my calculator, and you all can do that as well, that will give me 800. So my discriminant, I'm just going to start abbreviating, that equals 800, which tells me the type of solution I'm going to have is real, and then the number of them, so how many I'm going to have, is 2. And finally, my last example, I'm in standard form, so if I label it, I get a to equal 2, b equals -7, c equals 15. Plugging into my formula, so negative 7 squared minus 4 times A times C. Plug that into your calculator, and sorry, my calculator is being a little slow right now, but that gives us negative 71. And so since it's a negative number, again, I'm going to just abbreviate. My discriminant is negative 71. It's that actual number. And that tells me the type is going to be imaginary. And the number of solutions, so how many I'm going to have, will be 2. Now the only example we didn't find is if the discriminant, that actual number, was 0. Remember, if you get 0, that is a real solution, but will only give you one solution. So that's the discriminant. If you have any questions, make sure to reach out or come see me.